But here Rabbi Ephraim says, our own dear Rabbi Ephraim says, look, in one day, the Egyptians abandoned their false god and got used to seeing their god being insulted, being destroyed, being slaughtered. Now, the Bach, about 400 years ago, Rabbi Yoel Zirkish, he says, how come it says that the Egyptians were shocked? How come it says the Egyptians were shocked? It says because the Zohar in Parashat Bo, page 39b, says that Am Yisrael was commanded to do something that required them to put everything on the line. Put everything on the line. What is that? HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to Moshe Rabbeinu and he said, Moshe, you go to Am Yisrael and you tell them that I said they have to take this sheep, they have to take this goat, they have to take this false god of the Egyptians and tie it to their beds and make sure that they're not hiding behind closed doors. Make sure they're not trying to suppress the noise. In fact, make sure that the Egyptians know what they're doing. And when the Egyptians come, says the Bach, in the name of the Zohar, and ask you, what is it that you're doing? What is it that you're doing with my God? The Jew has to tell them, this God of yours, our God, has commanded us to tie it to our beds for the next 4 days. Because in 4 days from now, we are going to take your God, your false God, and we are going to slaughter it. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Shamayim is going to take the Sal, the angel of Egypt. Every nation has an angel, has a Sal. He's going to take your Sal, your false God, and he is going to also tie it up for 4 days. And in 4 days, he's going to lay it up like we lay the sheep. And then he's going to slaughter that Sal and destroy all power that Egypt has. All the false beliefs that you have, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is about to slaughter it, just like we slaughter it. And we're going to slaughter this, and this is your God. Moshe Rabbeinu started crying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, there's no way they're going to be able to do this. They're scared to death of the Egyptians. The Zohar Kadosh says, HaShem said to Moshe, I swear on my name that if they do not do exactly as I said and tie the sheep to the bed and tell the Egyptians that we're about to slaughter it because our God said so, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to slaughter your Sal. If they don't do exactly what I said, I will never allow them to leave Egypt. This was the commandment of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Only way to get out of Egypt. So the Bach says the Egyptians were shocked. Number one, because of not only what they were seeing, but also what they were hearing the Jewish people say. Second condition, the Bach says, is also because it wasn't too long before that the Egyptians saw that the Am Yisrael was also praying to the same idol. They were also idol worshippers. They were also going to church. What are you doing? Slaughtering our God, our mutual God, they said. So that's where they were shocked. Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu want to do this? Why did we need to do such a big thing? What HaShem is jealous of this false God of theirs? To that extent, okay, you're jealous of it, you don't like it, fine, just destroy yourself. Why do you have to put Am Yisrael to do this? Rabbi Yishayahu Pintu Sheikhye says that Pesach is not just another holiday. It's not a custom. You see, this whole thing has an extraordinary lesson for life. Why? If you notice, Rabotai Yekarim, that after it says about this mitzvah of slaughtering this sheep, if you fast forward a little bit, it starts talking about Pesach. The Parashat Bo talks about Pesach, how Pesach you have to keep this commemoration of this whole thing that happened. Anyone who eats chametz on Pesach, as it says in chapter 12, verse 15, Kol ochel chametz v'nichreta nefesh ha'im miYisrael b'yom harishon ad yom hashvi'i. Any person that eats unleavened leavened food shall be cut off from Am Yisrael, whether he's eating the chametz on the first day or any other day until the seventh day. So for a week, and for people that are in the exile like us, 8 days. You cannot eat chametz. You eat chametz, it's din karet. That's what it says in the Torah. It says in verse number 17, Ushmartem et mitzvot. Et matzot, that you keep these matzot. And Chazal says, don't just think it's just matzot, it's also mitzvot. It's spelled the same way. You observe the mitzvot. And this holiday is L'dorotechem chukat olam. This holiday is for all of the generations until the end of eternity. It's forever, this holiday. It's not one time. Now, in verse number 26, it says, "V'aya ki yomru alechem b'nechem ma avodah azot lachem v'amartem zevach pesach hu la'Adonai." When your children say to you, "What is this service to you?" you shall say to them, "It's a Pesach offering." This is a Pesach offering. When you have the Leil Seder, your kids ask you, "What is this?" You say, "This is Pesach." What's this Pesach? What is this Pesach? Pesach, what happened to us in Egypt. We were slaves of the Egyptians. Eventually we got out, but we didn't just get out quietly. We get out with a lot of noise, and we destroyed their God in the process. But not only did we destroy their God, you have to know that if a person is someone that has the Orla, he's called Arel, someone that's uncircumcised. V'kol Arel lo yochal bo. Someone that is uncircumcised cannot be part of this Pesach, cannot be part of this celebration. What does one thing have to do with the other? What does being circumcised have anything to do with this Korban Pesach? What does it have to do with it? Okay, you want me to eat chametz? I won't eat chametz. You want me to have a korban? Have a korban. Not allowed to eat korban, by the way, as a side note, the lamb shank or anything that you're cooking on that's a special commemoration of the korban, you're not allowed to eat it on Erev Pesach, only on the next day. Because there's no korbanot while there's no Bet HaMikdash, so anyone that's making a lamb shank as a special commemoration of the korban, don't eat it on the Seder night. You have to eat it the next day. But the point being is that what does Pesach, the korban, the sacrifice, the destroying of the Egyptian god, what does it have to do with being uncircumcised? She's saying, "Oh, we don't want the Goyim to celebrate Pesach." Yeah, but it's not enough. It's not enough. Why it's not enough? Because it's not enough. It's not enough of an explanation. So comes the Chachamim and explain to us. And Rabbi Yaron Reuven recently spoke about this. He says, if you look, from the time HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded us to do the Korban Pesach and destroy the false god of the Egyptians, until the time that he tells us that someone that's uncircumcised cannot be part of the Seder, cannot be part of this Korban Pesach. What happened in between? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave the strongest plague, which is the Makat Bechorot, killing of the firstborn. And he told us, if you want to be protected, when I myself, I am not a malach, me and not an angel, Hashem says, when I myself come to Egypt and I kill the firstborn and the animals and the Egyptians and anyone that does not have this protection, I myself, not the angel of death, not a helper, I myself will kill this. You want a protection? You're going to have to put blood on your doorpost. Two sides. Two sides you have to put. What is this blood? Chachamim tell us, Rabotai Karim, one piece of blood is coming from the slaughtering of the sheep. And the other one is from the Brit Milah that Am Yisrael was required to do during those 4 days. Brit Milah that Am Yisrael stopped doing Brit Milah. Even though Avraham Avinu was the first one to do Brit Milah, Yitzchak, Yaakov, all of his sons, everyone was doing Brit Milah for a long time. But once we became slaves, no more Brit Milah for generations. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Moshe Rabbeinu, if you want to leave this nation ever, you have to kill their God and you also have to do Brit Milah. What do the two have to do with each other? I want their blood on the doorpost. I want you to be proud of this. Why do you want me to be proud of this, HaKadosh Baruch Hu? What's so proud? To put some blood? Wow, is anybody going to be able to tell whether it's the blood of the Brit Milah that my husband did or my son did or it's the blood of another sheep that I killed or a mouse? What is this? So Rabbi Shaul Pinto says, no. It's not about what's this and what's that. It's what they represent. You see, there were two things that Am Yisrael failed at and put themselves in a situation that they were in, and unfortunately, why they're in a situation that they're in today. Number one, they were not protecting their Brit. No Brit Milah. No Brit Milah. How are you going to protect the Brit? There's no Brit Milah. You want to become a Jew? You have to do Brit Milah. There is no such thing as Jew without Brit Milah. You have to have Brit Milah. Needless to say, if you had a Brit Milah when you were 8 days old, no one even asked you. But now as an older man, you're 15, you're 20, you're 25, you're 45, you're 55, you're wasting seed, you're promiscuous, you're immoral, you're with your wife when she's nida, you're doing all types of things and wasting seed, you're not protecting your Brit. HaShem Yishmor v'yatzil, you are bringing yourself back to Egypt. Why? That's why we were in Egypt in the first place. Second reason, Avodah Zarah, idolatry. Idolatry. You want to leave Egypt, you have to kill the idolatry. Now most of you are going to say, well, I'm not an idol worshiper. I never worshipped Christianity, never worshipped anything else. I'm a Jew from birth. Or I converted already from Christianity to Judaism. Or I left Christianity and I'm in the process of conversion. Or I left Christianity, Catholicism, and I'm a righteous Noahide, so I'm not an idol worshiper. Maybe so. Maybe not. Why? All of us have a little bit of idolatry in us. All of us. Why? It may not be Yoshke. It may not be Buddha. It may not be some statue or some cow. But how many of us worship money and start crying when it runs away from us? As if we just lost our life. How many of us worship people? Oh, he's my idol. I look up to him. Yeah, why don't you come to Shiur Torah instead? No, he's my favorite guy. He plays basketball and football and all types of sports. I got to go see him. Yeah, but there's a Shiur Torah to go find out about HaShem. Yeah, no, I'll find out about it on YouTube tomorrow. How many of us watch stupid sports or news or stocks and CNBC and Bloomberg? How many of us worship all types of things? Worse yet, how many of us worship our own flaws? No, I'm just an angry person. I'm never not going to be angry. No, I'm just a sad person. I'm just an arrogant person. We each have bad character traits. Those character traits can turn into 100% idol worship. And what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is asking us 3,300 years ago is the same exact thing as he's asking us today for this Pesach. You want to have a good Pesach. You want to have a good life. You want to attain the happiness that Rav Spivak was talking about that requires toil. Then you must start toiling to not only protect your Brit, protect your modesty as a man or a woman, protect your morality and your kedusha, but you also have to abandon all idolatry. Not just the apparent idolatry, the obvious ones of statues and false beliefs, but also the idolatry of bad character traits, stinginess, arrogance, anger, all types of miserable, horrible character traits that are destroying your life. You have to abandon them. And you're going to say it's hard. Exactly. That's the point. That's the Korban Pesach. It's hard. Because when the Egyptians come and they say, what are you doing? When the Malach HaMavet comes to you and says, what are you doing? You've been angry your whole life. How can you leave me? I like when you're angry. You break stuff, you hit your wife, you hit your husband, you hit people, you steal, you do all types of... I like it. You're going to say, no, Malach HaMavet, you and me are finished. What do you mean you're finished? I am slaughtering you, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bechvodo Be'atzmo, he himself will also slaughter you. And for that I'm going to sing Chagadia, Chagadia on Pesach. At the end of Chagadia, the song, people don't know, there's a very big Kabbalistic meaning to this song. Chagadia, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, he's going to come and slaughter the Malach HaMavet. Who is this Malach HaMavet? Each one of us has a Malach HaMavet. Each one of us has a Yetzirah. Bad traits. Each one of us has to destroy them. You want to celebrate Pesach the right way? Pick something that's going to be your Korban. Pick something. None of us can change overnight. But each one of us can start somewhere. Pick one thing to make your sacrifice. Sacrifice all your imadas clothes. Sacrifice your wigs. Sacrifice your addiction to sports, video games. Sacrifice your addiction to money. Sacrifice the time that you waste and spend it on learning Torah. Sacrifice any type of bad character trait that you know is destroying your life. Sacrifice it. That's the sacrifice. But remember, you're not going to have the strength to do that sacrifice until you do something that's even supernatural, which is protecting your brit. The reality is, Rabotai, when a baby has a brit milah, the laws of the world say that baby is supposed to die. Why? It's not normal. Baby, just born a few days ago, 8 days ago, you're going to cut him already? It's very dangerous. The baby's already at life risk just by the fact that he was born. You're going to cut him? You're going to put that baby's life at risk. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes one day an entire human life be a day that he sends extra vitamin K to make the baby superhuman. Heal faster than any other time in his entire life. Even if he would take those vitamins throughout the rest of his life, he would never attain the level of vitamin K that he has on the 8th day when he's supposed to do a Brit Milah. And therefore his life is not only not at risk, he goes to sleep within a few seconds after having a Brit Milah. He doesn't care, he's good, happy to go. Am Yisrael as adults had a Brit Milah, they put themselves and their lives at risk in Egypt. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, that's what I want. I want you to put your life on the line for me. Put your money on the line, put your time on the line, put everything on the line for me. Something that hurts. One of the most painful things in the world is to overcome the addiction to pornography, immorality, and all of these different filthy addictions. It's very, very painful tshuva. But when you do it, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, that's the korban I've been looking for. You combine that korban with the other, you're going to have a spiritual elevation like no other. Why? Because you've made a physical sacrifice and also a spiritual sacrifice. And when you combine the two, as Rav Adeh said, you combine the two, you're going to reach a spiritual elevation that would even make a pope into someone that wanted to become a Jew. It would make someone that lived a life of falsianity into a person that's changing the truth. In a day. One day, you can change all of that. And every single person can do that. But you can't just sacrifice anything you want. It has to be what Hashem's asking. What Hashem is asking is a spiritual and a physical sacrifice. This, Rabotai Karim, is the way to attain happiness. I can tell you for myself, there are times that I'm happier than others. There are times that I'm less happy. One common denominator is that I always make certain sacrifices. Always work a lot, always do a lot of different things. But working a lot and answering calls or messages at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning is not enough. Dealing with the organizational issues, not enough. Dealing with 50, 60, 70 different employees and contractors, not enough. Why? That's just a physical sacrifice. If my physical sacrifice is not met with an equal amount of learning Torah, I start becoming depressed, I start becoming weak, both spiritually and physically. A day that I don't learn Torah is a day that almost was better off it didn't exist. Why? It's a day that I've declined. And this applies to every human being. It can't just work hard physically and expect you to be uplifted spiritually. You can't just work spiritually and expect everything to change also. It has to be a combination of the two. It has to be a combination of the two. And Rabotai, when you do it, you will attain that happiness. You will attain that happiness that all of humankind is seeking. And every single one of you can do it. BeEzrat HaShem will use the tools that we learned from Rav Spivak and from the rest of the Chachamim to do what we need to in order to make the Korban Pesach the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu desires.
ואתה הקדוש ברוך הוא תשחל למלך המוות, תשחל לשוחט, תשחל לתורה, תשחת למאיה, וחבה לנורה, דשרף לחוטרה, דהי קלקלבה, דנשף לשונרה, דאחלה לגדיה, דזבינה בביטרי זוזה, חד גדיה, חד גדיה.